This is QTV News and I am Mamudu Gajaga. Thank you for joining us. And now we look at the main news headlines. The new Minister of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, Professor Per Gomez, on Monday visited MDI and GTTI as part of his familiarization tour to institutions under his ministry. The Gambian National Commission for UNESCO, in partnership with the Gambia Press Union and partners, celebrated World Press Freedom Day, which falls on the 3rd of May each year. The Gambia Federation of the Disabled has organized a political dialogue with the Inter-Party Committee and party representatives to discuss the importance of inclusion and participation of persons with a disability in politics. In international news, the COVID-19 pandemic caused a 5% drop on the ECOWAS community's revenue collection in 2020, according to the Commissioner for Finance at the ECOWAS Commission. In sports news, QTV has refuted baseless allegations made by the GFF President Lamin Kaba Bajo at a press conference on Thursday, claiming that he hardly sees a broadcast of the GFF League matches on QTV's primetime news. Those were the main news headlines, and now the news in detail. Welcome and thank you for joining us. This is QTV News. The new Minister of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, Professor Per Gomez, on Monday visited MDI and the GTTI as part of his familiarization tour to institutions under his ministry. Loli M. Camara was with the team and see now reports.
Accompanied by his ministry's senior management team, the visit will enable the minister to gauge the latest developments, issues and challenges facing the learning institutions. Welcoming the minister at the Gambia Technical Training Institute GTTI, Aliu Seka, the acting director general and director of academics at GTTI, pointed out some key areas that needs government's intervention.
In GTTI here, most of the programs, the higher programs like the technician, the diploma and the higher national diplomas are on here. So when the ACE Impact project comes in, then we have the BSc in the three engineering areas, that is mechanical, civil and electrical electronics, which is ongoing, and we have almost 2 cohorts now, the second cohort and the new cohort.
Even though the school has registered successes in recent years, they also have some challenges, as explained by Professor Owusu Ofuri.
One of the challenges is the classrooms, taking the resources from the GTTI, okay, but like we're grabbing space here and there, which is not very good in the long run, because I feel like we're actually encroaching, on their facilities.
Responding to issues raised by the GTTI authorities, Minister Gomez said the education system should be revamped and gave an assurance of his ministry's continuous support to make this happen.
Our agenda is very clear, is to revamp the higher education sector for it to be fit for purpose, the curriculum to respond to the needs and aspirations of the people, so that the youths will have the skill sets from the Gambia. The government is very ready to really ensure that the youths of this country are given the necessary skills, and the environment is conducive for them to express themselves.
At the Management Development Institute, MDI, the minister was briefed on the institution's achievements and challenges by the Director General, Alhaji Aliu Jajo.
For the year under review, we conducted several training programs for the PMO, and this include responsive budget preparation, induction training for the public procurement actors, and civil service induction for new entrants. The challenges in Canfield. Currently, we have more than, as you know, 20 academic staff and about 2,000 from UTG sharing with us the little resources we have. We can't ask them to leave because they are partners. They have no place to go yet. Indeed, so we have to accept that one. Vehicles is another major transportation.
Minister Gomez commended the MDI management for their efforts in raising the education standards at tertiary level and reiterated his commitment to supporting the higher education sector. The minister and delegation went on a conducted tour to some of the facilities at both the GTTI and MDI. The minister also presided over the commissioning of the new power generator purchased by the MDI at a cost of $1.7 million. The minister will continue his tour of institutions with visits on Tuesday to the American International University, West Africa, and the Islamic Online University. For QTV News, Lolly M. Camara.
The Gambian National Commission for UNESCO, in partnership with the Gambia Press Union, Media Academy for Journalism and Communication, MAJAC, and the University of the Gambia, held World Press Freedom Day celebration, and this is a day that was celebrated on Saturday, the 14th. More in this report. Commemorated every year on May 3rd across the globe, World Press Freedom Day reflects on some of the hardships journalists face and their achievements. Under the theme, Journalism Under Digital Siege, the Gambia's quest for recovery of expression and access to information. The occasion was observed on May 14th instead of May 3rd due to the Muslim feast of Eid al-Fitr. The president of the Gambia Press Union, Mohammed S. Ba, urged for reforms of repressive media laws in the country.
Article 138 of the Information Communication Act gives sweeping powers to the national security agencies and investigative authorities to monitor, intercept, and store communications in unspecified circumstances, while also giving the national utilities regulator, PURA, the authority to intrude communications for surveillance purposes, all without judicial oversight.
Nana Gray Johnson, a senior lecturer at the School of Journalism and Digital Media at the University of the Gambia and vice chairperson of UNESCO NATCOM, says journalists should be well equipped, first informing themselves before informing others by upgrading their standards.
We are approaching the hallmark. We must approach that hallmark with truth, and I'm talking about truth with a capital T, not truth tainted with circumstantial biases. The way we interpret our politics in this country, the way we interpret political characters in this country, we must rise above that which tarnishes and keeps us at the level that is not principled.
On behalf of Sang Mendy, Deputy Director of MAJAC, says press freedom had been stifled by the previous regime. He added, under the new regime, there are still gaps in terms of press freedom, despite a better enabling environment. He says more should be done to strengthen press freedom.
We at the Media Academy for Journalism and Communication, we feel threatened by such statements that were recently made by the president. The president who, at the time of seeking the presidency, sang praises for the media. And after assuming power, he has decided to do otherwise.
Maimouna Sidibé, Acting Secretary General of UNESCO NATCOM, reflected on how digital technology is impacting the work of journalists and journalism.
The recently concluded 2022 World Press Freedom Day Global Conference, which has produced a further declaration as a record of key discussions as well as pointers to follow up. Digital Siege, the latest UNESCO World Trends report, incites discussion papers, unquote, threats that silence, trends in the safety of journalists. This report highlights how surveillance and hacking are compromising journalism.
Mamadou Gajaga, QTV News. The Gambia Federation of the Disabled has organized a one-day political dialogue with the Inter-Party Committee and party representatives to discuss the importance of inclusion and participation of persons with disability in political activities and public life. Mamadou Lamin Choi has the details.
This is the first dialogue on political inclusion for one of the most marginalized groups of society, persons with disability, with political stakeholders representing the Inter-Party Committee and political parties taking part in the dialogue. Preceding this event is passing into law of the Persons with Disability Bill, which guarantees and protects the rights of persons with disability in the Gambia. Championing advocacy on the implementation of the Act is the Gambia Federation of the Disabled, the umbrella body coordinating the affairs of persons with disabilities in the Gambia. Mohamed Krubali is the chairman of the federation.
We believe that persons with disabilities, like those we will call able, respect equality. We believe that persons with disabilities, like those you call able, are all equal to participate in decision-making processes, in programming, in planning, and policy making.
The United Nations Development Programme is the main partner of the Gambia Federation of the Disabled, which supported this dialogue. The project manager of the UNDP, Thomas Kimaro, outlines UNDP's commitment to supporting the Federation for Political Inclusion of Persons with Disability.
We have to make conscious decisions to make sure that moving forward, persons with disabilities are included in every component of what we do, of decision-making structures. There cannot be development. A country cannot progress if persons with disabilities are left behind.
Lamin K. Fati, the acting executive director of the Gambia Federation of the Disabled, reminds the participants of the need to recognize the rights of persons with disability for political inclusion and participation, and calls on them to join the crusade to realize the objectives of this dialogue.
We are now calling you to be on board. Let us not only campaign it here, but we practice it at our party level. So that's the intention of the meeting today.
Realization of the objective of this dialogue relies greatly on political party commitment to it. From this event, political party representatives at this dialogue are tasked to be advocates for political inclusion and participation of persons with disability at party level. Durija is the deputy PRO of APRC, representing his party in the dialogue.
What we would do to make sure that this goes a very long way, we are representatives of political parties. We need to go back to our political parties and at least promote equal representation and internal democracy. What I mean by that, charity begins at home. Within or at political party level, we should give them position, and they should equally be represented in all phases of election or positions that are being vied for in this country. That's where it should begin first, and this is what we're going to advocate for.
The Dialogue for Political Inclusion and Participation of Persons with Disability is an advocacy initiative to remind political stakeholders of their obligation to fulfill national and international legal instruments for the respect, promotion and protection of the political rights of persons with disability in the Gambia. Mahmoud Lamin Chai, QTV News.
That takes us to a commercial break, and when we return, we still have some more international, local and as well as sports news stories for you. Do stay tuned.
I am the light goddess. Everything I touch turns into light. I am the light at the end of the tunnel, and my technology is the answer. I am the happiness in your life. I keep you connected, and I am Q-Power. I am Q-Cell. I am Sunibus. We innovate, others follow. Call 111 for more information.
Style 2022 loolu laa wax de man waaw kay boo gisee nag ñu di ko waajal depuis léegi dañoo bëgg nag yokku cere dolli ñeex li ko waral nag QTV dañu bëgg saa yu ñuy def dara képp ku ci nekk rek gis ci sa bopp moo waral nag this time ñu bëgg koo yokku nag yaatal ko nag géew bi nag dañu ko yaatal boo mu yaatu lool ba tax ñu ngi woo designers yépp ci biir réew mi waaye yow mi nekk sax bitim réew bëgg ñu wane nag say product jokkal ak QTV da ci am solo nag bu baax a baax ba tax nag ki nga xamante ne piis day jaay ci marché bi bëgg naa wane ay piisam ak ay xeetu piis yi mu yor ñëwal ci biir Tobaski ak Style 2022 moom la ñuy waajal xanaa war naa neex dama ne nag kaay leen ngeen won ma seen mënin ma wax leen seeni cumbukaay ba tax nag jokkoo leen ak ñun ci nu mu gën a gaawee ci 32 44 44 4 ak QTV ak Tobaski ak Style yéen ñi rek ñu tax toog.
yow rek ci jàng ma cey.
Welcome back, and thank you very much if you're just joining us. This is QTV News. A Gambian artist, Mamadou Diagne from Kersering, exhibited his beautiful paintings at the Alliance Francaise Center last week. His work mostly features paintings of world-famous people, including politicians and women. More in this report by Babukar Sise.
Modern-day contemporary art reflects the complex issues that shape our diverse, global, and rapidly changing world. They include painting, sculpture, photography, performance, architecture, amongst others. Mamadou Diagne started painting in 2016. With a bachelor's degree in politics and international relations from universities in Canada and the United Kingdom, Diagne says he is a political activist advocating for African unity. Diagne tells us where he gets inspirations for his paintings.
First, I do a bit of research into photography. I don't like to paint from paintings. I prefer to paint from pictures so that it is more original and you won't find it anywhere else, and I don't have any copyright problems or anything like that. Or what's happening in the news or what I see on social media that interests me or something I find beautiful. Yeah.
Sending messages of peace through art is another powerful way for Diagne to advocate for world peace.
So, and I also have a political movement which I have been fighting for against, and my art is my way of showing it in paintings, in a way of bringing society together, unity of the world against COVID-19, African unity, things like that. That is why I wanted to have an impact as an artist, as Yashwan Jai.
This is Mamadou Diagne's first exhibition. He has specialized in painting using a dynamic combination of materials, concepts, and subjects that challenge traditional boundaries and defy easy definition. This artist has perhaps a soft touch for world leaders and people he calls legends, who, in one way or the other, made significant impacts on the world stage.
In the legends, I'm trying to show, in a way, the legendary work that these people have done, and so that they will not be forgotten. So you can have the painting in your house every day, every morning you look at it, you're like, yes, this guy has achieved something. So I try to show the greatness of some people.
They include Barack Obama, the former US president, Nelson Mandela, the former political prisoner and president of South Africa, the current Dalai Lama, the highest spiritual leader and former head of state of Tibet, who now lives in exile in India, Mahatma Gandhi, an Indian lawyer who led his country to freedom from British and colonial rule in 1947, most famous for his philosophy of non-violence that has inspired civil rights leaders around the world. For the love of the beautiful game, especially for the young generation, Cristiano Ronaldo is a great football icon. Bob Marley, whose music reverberates around the world and appeals to generations, is also in display. This other painting is called Yai Boy, meaning mother in Wolof. It shows an unbreakable bond of love between mother and baby. He explains some of the challenges faced by artists in the Gambia.
Some of the problems we might be facing, I would say, is in terms of publicity. Like many painters are out there who don't have publicity. They're not well known, but there are so many of them out there. We only know a handful. So this is my attempt to try and also get my publicity. But it had been difficult to get to this stage. I had to paint collections upon collections and make enough money to be able to have a show. So those are the things that might be difficult for the artists in terms of money.
The artist also creates abstract art that does not attempt to represent an obvious depiction of a visual reality by using shapes and colors to achieve admirable effect. Furthermore, his unique work provides him a platform to express his feelings about life, politics, culture, and society through art. Mamadou Diagne is now planning to hold regular exhibitions of his work to publicize it further. Babukar Sise, QTV News.
Oh, that's beautiful. Beautiful artwork there by Mamadou Jang. Now on to some international stories. In international news, the COVID-19 pandemic has had a negative impact on the ECOWAS community's revenue collection, resulting in a 5% drop in 2020. This was revealed by the Commissioner for Finance at the ongoing Joint Committees meeting of the ECOWAS Parliament in Lomé, Togo. Aliou Cissé reports from Togo.
Mrs. Halima Ahmed, Commissioner for Finance at the ECOWAS Commission, made the revelation in Lomé, Togo, during a PowerPoint presentation on the overview of the committee's 2020 Consolidated Annual Financial Report, which highlighted the 2020 audited financial statements and auditor's opinion. Members of the committee Parliament's Joint Committee of Public Accounts, Administration, Finance and Budget, Macroeconomic Policies and Economic Research, Trade, Customs and Free Movement are having a delocalized meeting to brainstorm on the implementation of ECOWAS institutions and agencies. In accordance with the committee's rules, the committee Parliament must be consulted for their opinion on the audited financial report of ECOWAS institutions and agencies. However, where the Parliament fails to give an opinion within the stipulated period, the Parliament is deemed to have given in an opinion. In 2020, the revenue accrued to the committee from all sources decreased by about 13 million UA unit of account, representing 5% from 257 million UA in 2019 to 244 million UA in 2020.
This decrease in revenue for 2020 is better appreciated for the following reasons. Let me just explain. One, community levy decreased, as we said, by about 33 million or 15% from 218 million in 2019 to 195 million in 2020. And this significant drop in 2020, as we said, is due to the impact of COVID-19, which brought about, of course, as you know, a halt to economic activities in the entire sub-region and the world at large. With the improved economic activities, there has been appreciable improvement in the community levy in 2021 fiscal year.
The revenue from development partners increased by 13 million, representing 37% from 35 million in 2019 to 48 million in 2020. The reason is attributed to receipt of more funds in 2020, especially from WAHO due to the COVID-19. In terms of expense, the total expense for all community institutions increased by 135 million UA, representing 81% from 166 million UA in 2019 to 301 million UA in 2020.
Huge expense in 2020 was due to the provision of doubtful debt of, we said, 134 million made in the financial statements in respect of long-outstanding receivables from member states. This provision is in line with the requirement of IPSAS. ECOWAS therefore complies with IPSAS 41 by making provision for receivables that have remained uncollected for 4 years at least.
In the opinion of the external auditors, as read out by Halima Ahmed, the financial statements give a true and fair view of the financial position of the ECOWAS community as of 31st December 2020. Members took turns to share their views on the report as they commended the financial department for their good work in presenting a detailed report. Reporting for QTV News from Lomé in Togo, I am Aliou Cissé.
From that story, now let's have a look at sports news. In sports news, at a press conference on Thursday, the JFF President Lamin Kaba Bajo made an unfounded claim that he hardly sees a broadcast of the JFF League matches on QTV Primetime News. He made this allegation during the launch of a broadcast agreement between JFF and another broadcaster. Given that he mentioned QTV by name, we must defend our name and our record. More in this report.
We hardly see a JFF League match, at least even for a second or two, on a primetime news. We are all citizens of this country. We all been here for, alhamdulillah, watching. I'm somebody, unless I'm out of the house, I normally don't miss the primetime news, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, either on GRTS or QTV, whatever.
Bajo's claimed that he, to quote, regularly watching the 8 and 10 p.m. news and hardly see the JFF League being featured, does not stand to any serious scrutiny, and we are at a loss as to why he made such a strange, unfounded assertion in such a public setting. For the record, and viewers can check our archives on YouTube, QTV has covered GFF League matches and activities both in our news broadcast and flagship sports show, Q Sports. In addition, we regularly feature live coverage of international matches on our sister station, Q Radio. Since QTV's entrance into the broadcast industry, we have provided international quality broadcast production in all areas of programming, including sports. Our sports production quality has been recognized by international broadcasters who have chosen to partner with QTV for FIFA and CAF matches held in the Gambia. In 2021, QTV's outdoor broadcast unit produced for broadcast the QCell Youth Cup, where we filmed 72 matches, 2 matches a day over a 4-week period, using multiple cameras, a full featured live graphics packages, instant replay, as well as commentary team for all games. So in terms of capacity, we can deliver, if required and allowed to. During Ramadan this year, we covered most First Division games on our news bulletins. QTV made approaches to the GFF regarding partnering to produce and broadcast the league matches, both locally and internationally via satellite, but it was obvious that there was no good faith on the part of the GFF to enter into partnership with us. Regarding the so-called groundbreaking broadcast agreement that the GFF launched on Thursday, QTV was extremely disappointed to learn that we were not even contacted by the GFF and given an opportunity to be considered as a partner. In contracts of this nature, one would have expected an open tender where all media houses would have the opportunity to demonstrate their capacity, but without due process and lack of transparency, Mr. Bajo cannot make statements without any merit. It would appear the whole agreement was shrouded in secrecy, floating the basic rules of probity, transparency and fairness. The announcement of the deal, when it came, appears to have taken all media houses in the Gambia by surprise. Mamadou Gajaga, QTV News. Well, I will again emphasize, Mr. Bajo, you completely got that wrong. And that's it for QTV News. Join us again at 10 for another bulletin.